By the way, my friend who got very, very depressed and suicidal was taking finasteride and didn't realize it until years later. He got on SSRIs, it cured him, came out. Then he got off finasteride, and then he realized that was one of the side effects.
Yep. What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today we are going to be revisiting the Mark Gordon podcast again with Joe Rogan, because there was another part that was brought up about post-finasteride syndrome, and I guess I missed it in the first one because it was at a totally separate part of the podcast. But basically, Joe is talking about how his friend was suicidal from taking finasteride, potentially, and then Mark Gordon says how it's being banned in a bunch of countries because of this side effect, potentially. So we're going to get into it, and this is where we're going to start.
By the way, my friend who got very, very depressed and suicidal was taking finasteride and didn't realize it until years later. He got on SSRIs, it cured him, came out. Then he got off finasteride, and then he realized that that was one of the side effects.
Yep. So, yeah, can depression from... This goes back to the first video where I talked about DHT deprivation, but more notably neurosteroid deprivation. This is going to be a long video if I dig into that. If you want to hear the mechanism behind all of that, go to the first one and watch it. But basically, I outline how 5-alpha reductase inhibition can not only chop down a significant amount of your DHT, or all of it, depending on how strong of a 5-AR inhibitor you use, but upstream in the steroidogenesis cascade, you can inhibit the production of certain neurosteroids that are responsible for preventing anxiety, depression, getting you into a parasympathetic state, getting to sleep, pro libido, actually making your dick work. Like, there's a lot of shit that is regulated upstream that goes commonly overlooked. And with finasteride, it's not the drug inherently doing it. It is more the inhibition of certain neurosteroids upstream in a very, very small minority of individuals. This is not something that is even perceivable for the majority of users. So yes, there are going to be the hyper-specific outliers who have horrible side effects. And there's going to be some individuals who have side effects in general who will go back to complete normal after discontinuation of the drug. But this certainly does not mean that every single person who uses it is going to have these issues. And then this is sort of the problem I have with the next part, because they're basically asserting that, it's overall like a bad drug and it's like going to be banned in certain countries because it is like a suicidal enabler, essentially.
And so that was causing some sort of inflammation.
Finasteride is being banned in Italy, Germany, Japan, at the
Holy shit.
So I was under the impression that Japan was actually one of the only countries that prescribes dutasteride for hair loss. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's another country, but that's an even stronger 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. That's even more problematic in that context. So I don't... it's kind of crazy to hear to me, and that was the first I heard of finasteride being banned in these countries. But he goes on to assert how it's like so bad and it's like the worst thing for your mental state and you should not take it, pretty much, and it's being banned in countries because of how bad it is.
Finasteride Syndrome Foundation, I think it's pfs.com or org, they have a listing of...
I heard that there was a topical version of it as I touch my bald head.
Yeah.
So, as I touch my bald head, that was funny. So just because it is not something that some individuals can tolerate, it should not be banned for the fucking entire population of a country. That seems fucking insane to me. So some individuals, their mental well-being, their suicidal tendency will be higher from going bald than from their perhaps imperceivable difference in erectile quality and quality of life neurologically from 5-AR inhibition. The majority of individuals will be side effect free. Yes, there are some individuals who experience some side effects, and if they discontinue, it'll go away. And then there's some individuals, very, very, small minority, who will potentially have debilitating side effects that it literally persist after discontinuation. But that's a risk you take before you take the drug. When you go into something as significant as 5-alpha reductase inhibition, where you are literally inducing a pseudo-hermaphrodite state, you cannot expect to, if I have a bad reaction, then the entire country should not have access to this drug. Whereas a lot of individuals who use the drug, their mental state depends on fucking being on the drug, because if they don't have their hair, they are more depressed than if they were on the drug, because for some people, they don't get enough side effects where the negatives outweigh the positives. So it's kind of ridiculous to assert that, oh yeah, like this is a good thing. It's being banned in every country. Like this, it should be your decision what you use or not use, in my opinion.
The topical version that they were coming out with that eliminates the side effect.
No, the topical version does not eliminate the side effects, but it can result in less overall drug burden through being able to compound a version with less overall, concentration getting into the system per, application versus the per ingestion of the pill. In addition, it skips first pass metabolism, so you don't produce the same metabolites in the liver to the extent you would if you popped an oral tablet. So its pharmacodynamic profile is slightly different, despite the fact that it's the same parent drug. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better or worse. It could be, but that's kind of up for further research. And above and beyond that, there is the theory that the literal local enzymatic activity may dictate a disproportionate decrease in scalp DHT levels relative to the oral. We don't really see this in practical application, though. When we actually look at the studies, we see just as significant of a decrease in DHT levels systemically in the body. It's not a localized thing like you would hope with the topical version. It's and again, if you want to argue about systemic versus localized activity, you could then theorize that you're applying it right on top of your brain, where a neurosteroid might be useful. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different angles to look at this from. And as far as topical goes, some individuals will actually have symptom relief who had problems using the oral pill, but they will likely be encountering overall lower drug burden and systemic DHT inhibition as a result. When you actually look at the studies, like comparable dosages, like you have the same systemic inhibition from topical versus oral, it seems like. So some individuals, anecdotally it's better. For most, it's like not much of a difference.
Well, they've had a topical one and they mix it with retinoic acid, vitamin A, and they mix it with the blood pressure medication.
Okay, so presumably when he says the blood pressure medication, I'm assuming he's referring to minoxidil, and then he says retinoic acid, which presumably he's referring to tretinoin, because that is typically what would be compounded with minoxidil in order to enhance sulfotransferase enzyme activity to whatever degree it does that, which can convert a minoxidil non-responder into a responder, hypothetically, at least based on the research available. It seems kind of promising. And for him to say, though, that they're making it with this, like that's a compounding pharmacy thing. That's not a they are making it. Like there's no drug company that is going out of their way to make this specific combination. This is a customized thing done by a compounding pharmacy looking to differentiate their product selection from what is available on the generic market, pharmaceutical wise. So this combination is not like they are doing it. It's just probably a specific compounding pharmacy he's working with. And frankly, any of them could replicate the same thing. So does it mean you should use that combination? No, I would advise against forcing yourself to use 3 compounds at the same time before you've even tried finasteride. So I would not advise using a finasteride compounded with minoxidil, compounded with tretinoin off the bat. That would be overkill. And I would just focus on 5-alpha reductase inhibition to start with, because that is ultimately what will lead to miniaturization of hair follicles, not the blood pressure medication. That's not going to have a massive difference on your DHT levels, if any at all. It's probably not going to do shit. So despite the fact that it's a potent growth stimulant, that is a secondary concern to the primary concern, which is the DHT levels in your scalp.
And it helps to generate hair regrowth. But the real key is a peptide called Thymosin 4-beta.
So no, the real key is not Thymosin 4-beta. I don't know what it is with like these guys who like peptides so much, who want to hype up this shit like, oh, GHK copper, it's better than minoxidil. Oh, fucking BPC 157. Oh, TB 500. Have you seen the new study on fucking epitalon, bro? It's like, dude, none of this shit works on your scalp. Like I literally know guys who inject this shit into their heads to try it and it doesn't work. Like I've seen so many scammy things from these compounding pharmacies, to be honest, that it's kind of annoying, because I deal with some of these too with my clinic, and it'll be like some compounded thing that is totally useless and it's like super fucking expensive. And it's like, dude, This is not going to do anything for hair loss. And the guys who are promoting it often are just like guys with, vested interest in it selling. They don't actually like give a shit if it even works. They just pull out some random anecdotal fucking rodent model and be like, look, this fucking nude rat, grew back hair after we applied this thing to it. Therefore, it works on humans.
The article's up there. They had nude mice. Nude mice are genetically bred to have no hair. They used this product called Thymosin 4-beta, and they grew hair.
So again, a rodent model does not equate to it's going to work on humans. And I have seen individuals microneedle their head and apply topical peptides to it, wipe in these compounding pharmacy creams and shit, and it just doesn't seem to work. From what I've seen, at the end of the day, the most effective treatments still go back to the root issue, which is free androgens in the body and AR activation, unfortunately. I would love for this shit to work. Trust me, some like natural thing that's based on some natural biological process that's like just some fucking peptide that heals everything, and it's like the most anti-cancer, anti-fucking hair loss thing. But in practical application, it just like does not seem to work, And I don't get why the catalogs that hype some of these ingredients up are like so aggressive in saying, this is like probably better than Minoxidil. It's like, no, it's not. You don't have one before and after picture that is credible to use as a reference point, nor is there any studies to back it up. It's like some random extrapolated fucking thing. So no, dude, I don't think this is solid. I have yet to see somebody give me evidence that Thymosin 4-beta applied to your head is going to be better than finasteride, minoxidil, and tretinoin. And that's like tretinoin is not even a super proven thing either, but we're talking about finasteride and minoxidil are the needle movers in this equation here. Thymosin 4-beta is not the real key.
Jesus.
Yeah. So there's a lot of literature on Google Scholar, about 1,300 articles talking about hair regrowth.
It's Thymosin is all.
Like, how many times have I looked at random studies that showed fucking the dirt in your backyard somehow outperformed minoxidil in a rodent model? Like literally the wood attached to your door frame, sanded down and put in a topical solution with ethanol and propylene glycol is better than minoxidil. Like that's like the kind of shit you find in these studies. Like I remember there was a probiotic study I looked at about a certain strain and I got super hyped on it. And then I literally started taking the pills themselves with the specific strain, which is super expensive, by the way, because it's the most promising fucking probiotic strain in all of the strains, and it was like super expensive, and it like regrew all this rodent hair and improved their health like to some crazy degree and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, gut health obviously regulates fucking everything in the body. So therefore, like when you get into this stuff, you start to really like dig and think, okay, I'm not saying the gut is not important, by the way, but I'm just saying like some people, they really extrapolate hard and they make claims that are not founded whatsoever. Like for me, I found this probiotic strain that was super promising. Like I mentioned, I took them orally, didn't do anything. And I realized I was like, okay, well, maybe the dose is not high enough. So I literally bought a like sous vide like yogurt maker and would like make my own, I would ferment my own yogurt and like multiply the amount of literal cultures in the fucking yogurt myself and make this like hyper concentrated thing of this like mega hair fucking promoting yogurt stack essentially. And when I ate it, tasted fucking shitty, by the way, but when I ate it, didn't do anything, unfortunately. So no, it does not always come down to, the fucking sick new peptide around the block, unfortunately.
There's also a peptide that people use for recovery from injuries, right?
Correct. You mix that with BPC 157, you get tendon repair and you get muscular repair.
Mm.
Yeah, so TB500 and BPC 157 is a pretty tried and true combo from what I've seen. And however, I think it is overly abused in some contexts. There are a lot of individuals who use it when they probably don't need to. And this may be, I don't know, I would be very cautious about promoting a very pro-angiogenesis related, I don't even know what the word would be, pro-angiogenesis environment, like chronically. Like there are some people that like the hint of pain in an area, the hint of anything, or just for the sake of, injury prevention proactively, they'll be using this shit. And I'm like, dude, this may not be the healthiest thing for you to be using all the time.
It works very well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that BPC 157.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
It's crazy when you get injured.
And
and they try.
That's true, but this is, again, be wary of when you use it and that it's actually warranted when you use it rather than just haphazardly using it because it's readily available.
Trying to get rid of it.
Yep.
The FDA is trying to ban it.
Yep.
These motherfuckers.
There's an organization, Dr.
Edwin
Edwin Lee in
Okay, so they're getting into peptide discussion as far as like banning them and whatnot, which is an unfortunate thing going on right now, but this is probably a separate topic for another video. And this video is gonna be pushing 20 minutes if I let them go on the tangent about this. So anyways, another clip from the JRE podcast that was interesting. I just heard the finasteride thing and I had to get in there. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplatesmoredates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates_moredates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Parler, wherever I am. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic. It's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. And we have pharma-grade hair loss medications through my clinic. And I will literally tell you which ones not to buy because some of them that we have access to are not overly useful in my opinion. So that is something to note too, is don't go out there and just, you know, buy a bunch of the hyped up thing like the fucking GHK copper topicals and stuff that people are saying are going to be the best hair growth stimulant ever, and there are no actual results to speak of really. So anyways, anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.